My name is Dylan Lohmeyer. I am the Interim Operations Director for the CSU Student Success Network.
I'm Elizabeth Boretz, Assistant Vice President for Student Success and Director of the Academic Advising Center at California State University, Fullerton. And my affiliation with the Student Success Network, in part, it's that I've been with the Middle Leadership Academy for 5 years, now serving in a facilitator role.
Hi, my name is Erin Jacobs, and I am the Director of Student Success Analytics at San Diego State University. And I have been working with the network for about 3 years now. I was on a team for Middle Leadership Academy in my first year, and then I was a facilitator that my second year, and then for the third year, I was on the leadership team to help put the Student Success Network Middle Leadership Academy to offer that to our campuses.
I am Gwen. I am part of the planning committee for the conference, and I joined the Student Success Network beginning of 2022.
I am Dr. Nadine Kelly. I am currently at Sacramento State University as the Senior Director for University Housing Services, and I am on the leadership team for the 22-23 Middle Leadership Academy.
My name is Dr. Larissa Mercado Lopez. I am a professor of women's gender and sexuality studies at Fresno State, and I am the director of the CSU Student Success Network Conference.
Over the past several years, our system was confronted by the magnification of deep-rooted structural and social inequities. The rapid and radical responses our campuses made to the pandemic really proves that change is possible when there is urgency and a collective commitment to change. It is our responsibility to ensure that we do not let up on this momentum.
I think in general, when I think about sustaining momentum, right, I think here at the CSU and even on our individual campuses, we are working to maintain a focus, right, on the goals and ultimately what is possible for equity and positive change on our campuses. So when I think about what that looks like here at Sac State, for me, it's beyond, right, looking beyond all the emails that we get celebrating our different cultural groups and our differences and, addressing the inequities for the various marginalized populations that make up, right, our students, staff, and faculty on my campus.
To me, sustaining momentum for equity and change means exactly what the question says, is to sustain this momentum of continuously changing and moving forward with not only the current situation of the world or our local areas, but more so understanding and realizing the changes that we have to create within our systems, as we know that we are trying to move forward with more equitable opportunities for our students and our staff and everyone within the institution.
So thinking about how we do that on our campus, and I've thought about this a lot. One of the things I think is important to the work that we do to keep that momentum is to remember our why, remember the voices of our students that we've been working with, what we've heard from our students, and then also making sure we're listening to the voices of students who are coming and not staying static in those things and putting their stories and experiences at the forefront of the work that we're doing.
Even with our broader context, where we have so much going on beyond our campus and the graduation initiatives and all the equity priorities, we still remember to honor every student's story, because that's what we're here for. When it comes to inclusion and equity and honoring diversity, we have to remember that every student is an individual and a whole person, and that each one has their story.
I think that the premise of the question is that there has been recognizable action and progress towards equity and change. So sustaining it requires that we first take inventory of what exactly that's looked like, right? What efforts have resulted in positive outcomes for students? What policies have we implemented that have contributed toward degree completion? What resources we've invested in that have supported students holistically?
I feel like it's continuing to take the next steps, right, forward, and kind of seeing what's next that we need to do and must do. We've seen progress, yes, but systematically, we know that our institutions were not built or intended to serve the various diverse populations that both attend and work on our campuses. So, not to be complacent and comfortable with what we would consider the progressive change that has happened.
As I reflect on the past couple of years, I think about our students who have been able to persist because we leverage data to make bold changes that really kept students on track. And we made some great progress, for example, in course access, right? We offered classes in a variety of modalities, and this allowed students to enroll in online classes that accommodated their jobs and accommodated their caregiving responsibilities.
Remembering that while we're striving for student success and metrics and looking at equity, that each of those numbers represent students or people. And remembering that we're not just doing this for numbers and statistics to increase numbers, but remembering the whys. What are we doing to help? What does our work do for our students? How do we change lives with the work that we do?
That's why we're spending so much time always analyzing, always thinking of new strategies and things we could share with each other for learning.
It's literally looking about how do we just really continue to push forward and not get comfortable with that progress and what we've accomplished thus far, but really trying to dig deep and disaggregate what's really happening on our campuses and reflect on what additional things need to change in order to kind of break through some of the other challenges that multiple groups are having on our campuses, and making it so that access is a lot more equitable than it is right now, and looking for ways to really be honest about the structures of white supremacy that exist in a lot of our policies and procedures, and just our overall structure of our organizations, and be willing to kind of stretch our minds beyond that to be more culturally relevant in how we assess and audit our policies and procedures.
How do we change lives with the work that we do? And keeping that at the forefront of what we do, I think really helps put into perspective why what we do matters. The issues of our students today will not be the same issues necessarily as our students 10 years from now. And so how do we continue to remember their voices?
As I reflect on the past couple of years, I think about our students who have been able to persist because we leverage data to make bold changes that really kept students on track. And we made some great progress, for example, in course access, right? We offered classes in a variety of modalities, and this allowed students to enroll in online classes that accommodated their jobs and accommodated their caregiving responsibilities.
This also means that it creates a pathway where it allows us to be more flexible and open to creating changes that has been needed for years now, in terms of relearning, unlearning, creating changes within the system, whether that means internally, externally, with campus partners, and keeping this up as time changes. We've witnessed this within the last couple of years with all the initiatives that have been placed within institutions in the CSUs.
I think about our students who have been able to persist because we leverage data to make bold changes that really kept students on track. And we made some great progress, for example, in course access, right? We offered classes in a variety of modalities, and this allowed students to enroll in online classes that accommodated their jobs and accommodated their caregiving responsibilities. And alongside that, we invested in professional development to support faculty who were looking for ways to create more equitable online learning experiences. And importantly, we also made crucial injections of funding into mental health resources into basic needs programs, into racial equity initiatives, and programs to close the digital divide. But we really need to keep in mind that these challenges are not exclusive to pandemic times.
How do we continue to assess what's working and what's not so that we can continue to move and have that momentum? So I think tying those two things together, remembering the why of what we do and remembering that change is constant, working to create equitable outcomes and experiences, we need to continually move the needle. We need to continually think and rethink about what we're doing, keeping those voices in mind.
This really speaks to the phrase, the work is never done. There's always changes.
I'm really proud of the work the CSU has done to quickly respond to this crisis. I'm very proud of the work that my campus has done. And I hope that we can continue with this work. So if we want to talk about, sustaining momentum for equity and change, we need to address how we will invest in the people who are doing that work.
We owe it to our students and fellow colleagues to keep pushing and addressing equity with the same level of responsiveness and action-oriented planning that we did when responding to COVID-19.